We won yesterday, right? Wonder why everybody's here today. So. David.
Mike, David Moore, Dallas Morning News. Talking to Dak after the game yesterday on the return, and it was like, well, it's about us, not me. And I saw how this team was playing when I was gone and respect that. How did he respect kind of the identity that developed while he was away, while not imposing too much of what he wants to do and coming back in that game yesterday? And did y'all talk about that going in?
No, we didn't have to talk about it because, I mean, my personal reality is he never left. I never viewed it as him being away. He was in every meeting. I mean, he was part of the game plan discussions. I mean, he's in the building every day. He worked the same hours. So I never really felt that he was disconnected, where he wasn't totally in tune with exactly the plan, the preparation, and then ultimately the performance, the evaluation, and all that. So we felt like we just picked up right where we left off, and Cooper and Dak switched chairs. I think that would be my description of it.
Sam.
Coach, just to build on what David just said, Dak said yesterday that he thought it would be kind of fun if he didn't score a touchdown, just by the way the team was playing. How does that just speak to his selflessness and the fact that this is a team game and where you guys are trying to go and build throughout the season?
I just think it's another excellent example of who he is as a person and what type of teammate he is. He's as natural of a leader that I've had the pleasure of working with. But he's in, he does everything the right way, and I think that's a really cool outlook. Frankly, I mean. I wanted him to score. I know that, but but I think it tells you what kind of teammate he is.
Speaking of teammates, when guys like your leaders show selflessness and relentlessness, and I guess going back to Micah and him chasing down that screen and stopping him at the one, just talk about that, what that means to the team. And that was a game-changing play because it could have been a touchdown. Next play, you get the fumble. And
I mean, there's so much to love about Micah, and you watch his career in just such a short time, the impact that he's made is stating the obvious. It's tremendous, But if you look at last week's game in Philadelphia, there was a self-scout moment, that he had with Dan Quinn, the coaching staff, and I think it really hit home for him because that particular play, to me, I thought that was the biggest play in the game because, you look at what transpired, because I thought that the tight end was going to score, frankly, from the view I had, and he flashed right past, in front of my eyes. So, what a great play! But I thought he played with tremendous finish yesterday. I mean, he has a different gear. He's so disruptive. Obviously, the attention that he gets from the opponent is so beneficial to his teammates. But I thought he played at elite level yesterday.
You mind sharing that self-scout thing with Dan Quinn? What did y'all work on?
Just taking a little extra time, just talk about the fundamentals, the techniques, and just the things you continue to work on. I mean, it's not anything outside of what you do normally, but just shine a brighter light on some focal points. And he's a very coachable young man.
Hey, Mike. Patrick Walker, DallasCowboys.com. Elite defensive outing yesterday, but you lose one of your best playmakers in Jordan, looks like, for the season. Can you talk a bit about what Ron Bland brings to the table and how the rotation would be impacting Kelvin Joseph, maybe Nashawn Wright?
Yeah, I mean, Jordan Lewis, I mean, he, to me, I look at him as one of the keystones of the football team. He's on our leadership council. Just love the way he plays. Detroit proud. I love everything about him. So, I mean, obviously, we're going to miss him on the field, but his presence in the locker room is just his professionalism, his toughness, his approach. He just he does everything right. Jay Lou is a very valued member of our football team. So obviously a big injury there, but yeah, I thought Deron did a nice job against Cincinnati. So we'll continue to build off that, and Kelvin just needs to continue to work too. For and Nashawn Wright will probably have an opportunity to play this week. So it's just it's an opportunity for our young players.
Todd? With Bland moving in there, do you get Anthony Brown more? Like, if something happens to Deron, what's the next down? What's the trickle down effect of losing?
Well, Todd, I think we usually print off the game plans about Tuesday at 7. So just leave me your email.
Is there a trickle down effect of losing Jordan that you have to?
Well, definitely no. I mean, Jordan. Jordan's a key player for us. I mean, it obviously changes the way we move forward. I think just like anything, you have to have different combinations, different personnel groups. So, we're frankly just getting into the Bears now. I know our quality control guys worked on them all last week. So this is another uncommon opponent. I mean, I look at the game yesterday. I mean, that was a good football team we beat, and there's some things in that game that you got to learn from. Different players, different looks. I thought they came in and their low tackling was exceptional. They tackled well, and so I'm more focused on what we need to do to win the game, and more importantly, grow. We grew as a football team, but there's some things in our self, Scott, that we need to be better at, and that's what we addressed today in the meetings, and we'll continue to build off that on Wednesday. But our focus is on this group that we haven't competed against these guys in quite some time.
John Machota, The Athletic. Why don't you think Michael Gallup got more opportunities yesterday, and how do you guys get him more involved?
Well, I think when you take a hard look at the passing game, the first thing is attempts. Now I think I've said this almost too many weeks now. We need our focus is more on third down because of where we are right now as far as our production, and you just look at our play numbers, our opportunities per game. But I think it was 59 plays in a game, but we had 85% as far as the runs and completions, which is the goal is 75%. We always talk about 55 or more runs and completions, but that's based on a 70-play game. So we got to get our play total up is my point. And I think a lot of those, whether it's Michael or any of the other receivers, I just think more opportunities will come, but because the efficiency was definitely there yesterday. I mean, the ball was distributed in the 59 play volume. I thought Dak and Kellen and the way the game was called, the ball was definitely distributed properly.
Calvin Watkins, Dallas Morning News. Back to Bland for a second. What did you see in him, I guess, in the offseason that you said, I could depend on him if need be?
I'll be honest with you, it really started in the 30 visit during the draft process. He came in here and made such a strong impression on our whole staff, personnel staff, coaching staff, and obviously we were excited that he was still there when we drafted him, and he's just been so consistent, very bright, very responsible, has a high level of professionalism for a young man at this state in his career, and it leads to his consistency. His personality. He's very consistent, super competitive. So he's done a really nice job on special teams. And when you think about the opportunity he had against Cincinnati, I mean, he found out an hour before the game that he was playing. So I think that shows you just the type of person that he is and how he handles things. He just went out there and played well. So he's earned this opportunity.
Hi, Kaylee Sutton, DallasCowboys.com. Peyton Hendershot getting his first touchdown last week, or I guess yesterday, and then last week Jake Ferguson getting his touchdown. Dalton Schultz kind of getting more in the mix on Sunday. Just how good and how special is that tight end room? Oh yeah, no, it's an outstanding tight end room. Lunda Wells does an incredible job with those guys, and they're tight. It's a tight group. They have their early morning meetings, not just for the young players. They're all in there. Dalton Schultz comes to the quarterback meetings, so they do the extra meetings at night. It's the same way in camp. So their love for football is very high, and I love that. Obviously, and just respect their approach, and especially the two young guys. They're frickin' frack or whatever you want to call them. I know you have six nicknames already, but it's really cool to watch their relationship and just this early success they've had. I mean, they both have been contributors since day one on special teams. But and Sean McKean is another young man that let's not forget about him too. I thought he did a lot of. He had the highest point totals on our special teams. His performance yesterday. So it's an excellent room.
Michael Belkin, Dallas Morning News. Neville Gallimore was a full participant in practice last week, didn't carry a game status designation. What went into the decision for him to be inactive?
Well, Neville, I think just like, to me, this is similar to a couple of things we've had here of recent, it seems, but, fully cleared medically to go. But, was fighting through some. I thought he was fine Thursday practice, but timing wasn't quite there, not quite what we're thinking. And Carlos was someone that we felt that this game plan and how we felt that the Lions were going to come in here and,
try to attack us, try to attack our run defense. So, Carlos was part of the plan to be up, and it just really came down between Neville and Tristan. So we just Tristan was a just coach's decision. I don't know what category you want to put it in.
Understanding with the trade deadline coming up next week, and you're always looking to upgrade personnel if it's there, but you're a draft and develop team. So when you get closer to a deadline like that, do you discuss, well, if we brought a guy in here, I mean, this guy is coming on, we don't do it. How do you balance the draft and develop with adding a player in season?
No, excellent. I think that's why you have your personnel meeting every Monday, and we had ours today, and I think I stated this yesterday after the game. Really proud, excited about our young guys, and so we're not going to get in the way of that at all. But I think it's like everything, and take my hat off to Will McClay and the personnel department. I mean, they grind away, and and usually it doesn't really. Things don't happen. So, I mean, my point is the amount of work that they put into it, then it usually nothing happens, and that's okay. I think it just shows you the confidence that you have in the men in the building. But, I think you also just got to, that's the job. If you have a chance to improve somewhere, you take a hard look at it and you make a decision. So, but, my focus has always been in this today, just really focusing on our young guys, continue to improve, and, how we're going to line up against Chicago.
Williams kind of an example of that yesterday, just getting the snaps he did early and then kind of have a breakout yesterday.
Who's that?
Sam Williams.
Oh, Sam Williams? Oh, yeah, absolutely. Well, Sam's been playing on special teams, and, I mean, shoot. I mean, he did 2 impact plays yesterday. So, he's doing better on special teams. But, I really like the playtime distribution, really throughout the whole defense, and especially the defensive front. I think if you got guys that are playing less than 40 plays, and I think the lowest was probably like 15. So I mean that's great balance, and we feel that's a tremendous strength of ours, that we can play with that many guys rolling in there, keeping everybody fresh, and it's great to see Sam when he's getting in there, he's making plays.
Speaking of that,
Sure.
Mike Jory, Epstein, Yahoo Sports. I know that Zeke was productive in the second half yesterday, but given the way he went down in that PCL tear last year, do y'all get him checked out today, and how's he doing?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean that process is still going on. I haven't. We had our team picture today, so is that news? Yeah, but took a little. Yeah, shitting grin type. I'll stand next to Jerry, so how can you not smile? I'm sorry, go ahead.
So you're still going through the process. How is he feeling?
I'm sorry. I have not visited with Zeke. I don't have a medical update. I apologize.
But he was there for the picture.
Zeke's here, yes. Big smile. Yeah, he's got a great smile.
You talk a lot about the running back position being devalued in some places, but it seems if you got a guy that you don't have to worry about his durability, he just plays through a lot of stuff with Zeke. Can you just expound on that a little bit?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, what Zeke played through last year, I mean, that was, that was so impressive. But that's Zeke. I mean, Zeke has been, early to meetings, front row in the meetings back in the pandemic, was in the auditorium. So that was my first, experience with him. I mean, he doesn't complain about anything. He just works. He's a great teammate. I mean, he's selfless. I mean, and so he just lines up and plays every day. He doesn't miss very much practice either. He's always doing the prehab work with Britt, and so I mean, just extremely professional. And I think what he fought through last year was super impressive. So I mean, I think we got to look at that too, and learn from it, and just. But we know what we have in Zeke. He's going to line up and play no matter what.
You guys had a lot of success running to the right behind Terrence and Zach yesterday. I know there's a lot more to the run game than 2 players, but what sort of combination have you seen those 2 become in the run game?
I think those 2 have really established an excellent right side, and I go back to. Terrence, when he first got the opportunity in 2020, I mean, I know Zach was very impressed with him. The communication, toughness. I mean, he's a very, very mature young man. I mean, he's in his third year, but you'd think he'd been here 10 years, just the way he operates. So, I think it's just like anything. Whatever. Whether it's the defensive front or it's corners and safeties, linebackers, and just when you have that type of connection, it helps. And I think those two guys have established it, and you can see it in their combination blocks and just the way they play off one another. So, you like to get that with your whole line, but it just comes with time and experience.
And then on that 28-yard one, Tony, Noah Brown had a pretty good inline block there. What it seems like we've talked about him in the past about those dirty, gritty type plays and stuff that he's still doing, but just what has stood out to you about his ability to do that fairly consistently?
Yeah, Noah's super competitive, super tough. Every time we talk about him, I feel like I bring it up, but I think it's just a great illustration. He's your personal protector on your punt team. So, he is, I thought he did a very good job blocking their safeties, and they were hitting it now. Their corners, I thought their corners were super fast to support, and I thought they tackled well too as a defense. So, but I thought Noah had a really nice day in the run support, particularly in the inline blocking.
Christy Scales, Cowboys Radio. Could you please update us on Matt Farniak? And then just as Todd and Patrick asked about the domino effect with Jordan Lewis, a versatile guy like Matt, and how that affects that, whether it's Lindstrom or government.
Yeah, definitely. I think the biggest thing there, just getting all the information on Matt first. But also with Matt, the other Matt. Let's go. So I think it's obviously got two young guys that we got to we'll continue to work through that. Lindstrom's been doing a really nice job. So it's really just opportunities for our young guys.
Let's piggyback on not just him, your history of the game, but Zeke just passed 10,000 yards, and this is a week that the anniversary of Emmitt Smith's 20th anniversary of Emmitt Smith breaking Walter Payton rushing record. Do you think that record would ever be broken, especially the way the running back, the game is changed for running backs?
Man, that's a great question. I just know the way I look at it. 17 games. That's a long time, and I think I just you go into these games and hey, trust me, and Zeke would do it. If you just said, hey, I'm going to give this guy the ball 25, 30 times a game, and like he did early in his career, I think someone like Zeke could challenge it. But to do, what Emmitt did over that period of time, that length of it's just, it's incredible. I really don't. I don't know if it can be repeated unless it's, I just think that, when you look at offenses today, the majority of offenses are going with a 1-2 punch just because, and it makes sense because, my fear always the running back position, and now we're all product of our experiences. I've been in seasons where I didn't have any running backs by the time the fifth game hit, and then we had to move a receiver, Ty Montgomery, to running back. So I've always looked at it, the length of the season, but wanting to be healthy in the playoffs, and that's something that Zeke and I talked about. I get that you can carry it 30 times a game. It's not that we don't want you to. It's just that, when we get to the playoffs, we get in that game, maybe you carry it 30 times. So, cause I'm always preparing for 20 games. To me, it's not a 17-game season. Every practice schedule, every meeting, everything has goals and expectations, and that's the part of this business you get better with in time. And I think the way you plan, all the way down to playtime. That's why I pay attention to the GPS. It's not the absolute, but it gives you an idea of how much these guys put out on a daily basis. And when you've got a 20-game forecast to go win the whole thing, you have to factor that in because at the end of the day, we want to win as many games as we can in a regular season. But the goal is to be obviously health number one at the end of the year, and particularly your key players, and you want to carry that into the playoffs. So that's always been my approach.
Does that help you also even appreciate what Emmitt did even more because he did this while winning 3 Super Bowl championships and just never getting hurt and carrying the load that for long?
I think Emmitt, when you look at him, and the fact that you ask the question, you say, do you think that record could ever be broken? And there's just a big pause because I don't know how it could. Just for him to play at that level for that length of time, that's special. It's unique, and I don't know if I see it happening.
Hey, Mike, Cavante Turpin, he continues to show that he's a weapon for the Cowboys. Can you talk a little bit about his value to the team as far as how he continuously flips field position, but also it seems like he's always just that one hair away from breaking it. Do you find yourself kind of getting on your toes every time he catches the ball?
Oh, definitely. No, he's a unique young man, and just watching the special teams video this morning with the coaches. I mean, not only is everybody on their toes, but the guys blocking for him are really on their toes because I thought our blocking unit in the return game, we definitely took another step. And this special teams unit for Detroit, we thought was clearly the best or one of the best that we've played in some time. So, just the way they're built with abundance of linebacker types, and so this was a huge challenge for us yesterday in special teams. And obviously, we won the field position battle. I think we're 100 plus 104, and and Terp in the return game was a huge part of that. So he's young, he's got a lot to learn, but he's got a great attitude. He's been a joy to coach, but he's electrifying with the ball. There's no question.
Mike, has the split between Zeke and Pollard worked just as you guys imagined? Like how the start of the season has gone, and you're seeing the benefits of both those guys?
Yeah, I would say so. Yes, I think clearly the way they, I love their room. I mean, just the way they approach it and their the professionalism, and I think it tells you about both those guys as teammates. But yeah, it's when the play caller doesn't have to change based on who the running back is, that's where you want to be, and just have done it. Have been in that position before. I think that's a huge advantage for us. It's a huge advantage for Kellen and the offensive coaches when you're game planning, and also the ability to stay aggressive and just getting in and out of the personnel groups and work through your concepts in game. All that is a real benefit of having two dynamic running backs.
All right.
Have a good evening.
Thank
you.
Thank you, Coach.
So you said the game plan's Tuesday?